Hello, my name's Bob Spoor and I'm the Chief Instructor of the Phraya Pichai Muay Thai Camps International. What we're going to be looking at today is a series of gradings. These are the requirements that all students must fulfill in order for them to train and become instructors under me within the Phraya Pichai. We're going to be going through basic techniques all the way through to advanced. We're going to look at the Ramui, we're going to look at terminology, we're even going to look at warm-ups and exercises. And to help me today, I've got Ash. Now Ash is one of the instructors that works under me for the Swindon Muay Thai camp, and this is Ash. To my left I have Mike. Mike's going to be one of the students today, assisting and helping us with the training. Mike already trains with Ash, so he's fully conversant in the techniques you're going to see today. So hang on to your seats and your shorts and we're going to have a really good time. First things first, when a student enters the gym, meets an instructor or meets a fellow trainee, he must bow. In Thailand this is known as the Y. It's simply a sign of respect. It's no different than going up to someone and shaking their hands. So let's just go through that again. When you enter the training room, you must do a Y bow. When you meet your instructor, a Y bow. And then when you're working with your training partner, you also exchange a Y bow. It's nothing fancy. Doesn't have to be deep or anything like that. It is simply a sign of respect, and placing the hands in this position is enough just to prove that respect. That's it really.
Okay.
Fundamental Muay Thai is good guard and good stance, and demonstrating that today is Ash. I'm going to take Ash through a series of techniques now just to show really the main points of the guard stance in Muay Thai. So if you just like to take the stance. Okay, what we see here is that the feet are placed evenly apart, shoulder width apart. The hips are more or less square on to the opponent, and the guard is held high. And what Ash could do here, this is his influence from boxing I think, is bring the elbows in a little bit more, and this rear hand here pull further to the back. This hand here protects the head against clinch work and the elbows. This hand is obviously slightly forward of the other one. If we turn sideways we can see that, like so. And you'll see the rear heel is off the floor here to give explosive movement forward. Small amount of body weight is forward on the balls of the feet here, but only ever so slightly. This allows the fighter to move forward constantly. Again, good elbow position, good curve in the spine, protecting the ribs and the liver and the internal organs, and the left hand slightly forward. Now, obviously, some fighters will be left-handed. This is called an orthodox stance. If we reverse the stance, what we now see is a southpaw stance. It's exactly the same principle here. The hand is forward, the elbows are in, the curve in the spine, the hips forward, and the weight distributed over the feet like so. This is the perfect stance for Muay Thai. It gives you good defensive capability. Strong front knee, strong lead hand. And if Ash just turns front of the camera again, and this again is in the southpaw configuration. Ash is right-handed, so he characteristically fights in orthodox. So if you just go back, that feels much more comfortable for you, doesn't it? Oh yes. Yeah. So that's comfortable, and that's a good, strong stance. The elbows, of course, here are protecting this area against kicks. Okay? Okay, from the guard stance, okay, we need to learn to move. Fundamental movements are forward and back. We're going to do them in 3 steps. Basing this on the Yan Sam Kum 3 strides movement. We're going to make reference to that throughout the DVD. It's a highly important concept the student needs to understand, particularly if you're an instructor under the Phraya Pichai. Okay, so from my guard stance, you'll see me shuffling forward first. Okay, small movements, very relaxed, and then back. And you'll see that when I shuffle, if we do this sideways, if I'm moving to the front, I move the front leg first and bring the back leg in. Front leg first, rear leg in. If I'm moving back, I move the back leg first and then the front leg. Back first, then the front. It's a pretty simple concept. If I'm moving to the side, then it makes sense that if I'm moving to the left, I move the left leg first, followed by the right, like so. And if I'm moving to the right, I move the right leg first, then the left. This allows me to maintain space between the feet, between the heels. I always need to keep that space there. If I stand narrow, like on a tightrope, my balance is compromised. So I want to keep space between the heels. So once more, that movement, 1, 2, 3, forward. Good balance, good coordination. 1, 2, 3. To the rear, and then off to the left, 1, 2, 3, like so, and off to the right, 1, 2, 3, like so. And again, you notice the guard is held in position, it's pretty static, it doesn't wobble about, it stays still. This gives me masses of protection. And the movement of the foot, the feet, very, very important. Muay Thai is known as the science of 8 limbs. What does that mean? Well, we've got 2 fists, 2 elbows, 2 knees, and 2 legs. That's where you get the 8 limbs from. Back in the 30s and 40s, the 1930s and 40s, Thais would also use the head, and the headbutt would be used in the clinch, but we'll be coming to that later. For now, we need to know, as a novice, how to clench the fist, because we're going to look at hands first, okay? The way to clench a fist is fairly simple, but very important. The fist should be clenched tightly, with the thumb wrapped over it, like so. When striking, the wrist should be level with the forearm. This makes for a hard impact, and you strike with the first 2 knuckles of the fist. So let's just quickly recap. Fold the fingers back in, thumb across. When striking, make sure that the back of the hand is level with the forearm and that the first 2 knuckles of the fist hit the target. That's your striking point. In Muay Thai, as in boxing, a fighter will generally wrap their hands to protect the small bones that make up the structure of the hand. Okay, we're not going to demonstrate that at the moment, purely for clarity of technique. The first technique we're going to look at, the first punch we're going to look at is a key one, and that's the jab. Okay, used by boxers and Thai boxers and lots of other martial artists as a rangefinder, as a point scorer, as a way of covering distance. It can also, and you mustn't forget this, be used as a knockout punch. When you throw the punch itself, the jab itself, it comes off the lead hand. First of all, I'm going to do it from the front, like so, and then from the side, so you can see it quite clearly. You'll also notice the position of my guard hand. This is vitally important when throwing the jab. This must be kept up at all times. You'll also notice how the fist rotates and corkscrews it in towards the target. Striking the target with a fully extended arm, and then back again. So I'll just demonstrate that again. 1, and then back. Again from the front, and then back. Okay. Okay, the jab doesn't work as a standalone technique, i.e. like so. It needs movement, either towards the opponent, away from the opponent, to the left or to the right of the opponent. And we're now going to demonstrate that. First of all, I'll do it to the front, boom, like so. So I've stepped in, shuffle stepped in. And if we take a look at that movement again, I'll lead with the left leg first as the left punch moves out, like so. Moving back from this position, I simply move the rear leg back as I throw the jab. To the left, I'll step off, and back to the centre, and to the right, like so. All of these techniques should be perfected, yeah? And starting with the jab makes it easy to accomplish. So once more, forward, back, to the left, and to the right. And then settle back in the centre position. One of the second weapons you've got, and it's a strong weapon, is my rear hand, my right hand. And this is called a right cross. I'm going to demonstrate that now as a static technique and then with movement. Again, I'm corkscrewing the fist towards the end of the movement. You'll also notice that the guard hand, this time the left hand, has gone high to protect this side of the head. Like so. Obviously from the side, it will be done like this. And then back. You'll notice how I corkscrew the rear leg in. The knee being turned to the direction of the punch, no more than that. The left leg static and dropped, weight dropped onto it and forward. Obviously, it's not just done as a static technique, it's often done in combination with other techniques. But for the purposes of the grading, I'm going to demonstrate a right cross moving forward, to the back, to the left, and then to the right. So forward and back. To the rear, and back to the mid-centre line again. And then off to my left, and off to my right. Each time coming back to the centre. I'll just demonstrate that once more. Forward, back, to the left, to the right. Each time, the hand's coming back to this default position, the guard position. Action. What we're seeing now is Ash is holding the pads for Mike. Mike's going to demonstrate a single jab technique. As you can see, Ash is moving around. This helps Mike with his mobility. You can see all he's doing at this moment for this first grade is throwing that left jab onto the pad. He's not going for any sort of power, he's looking for good technique, keeping a good guard, good footwork, good movement. And all of these qualities are being displayed by Mike. Next on the agenda is a double jab. And this is where Mike taps the first one in and sticks the second one in quite hard. So light and then hard. He's making full use of the movement of the feet and full use of the movement of the arm, extending it fully as he strikes the pad. Mike then starts to put techniques together, a jab and a cross, which we've seen demonstrated earlier on. So that's a left jab, right cross. And you can see now that Ash is interchanging the pads, bringing the pads up into position as and when he wants Mike to fire the shots off. You can see Mike rotating the hip on the right cross and driving the hand in, deep into the target. Then we want Mike to do a double jab and then a cross. Again, fairly simple techniques, but absolutely key techniques in the performance of Muay Thai. And then finally, jab, cross, jab. So now it's a left, right, left combination. And again, you'll see Mike's footwork, his movement is very good. And when training in the defences against hand techniques, fundamental techniques, we need to understand distance. And you'll notice that the distance at which me and Mike are training would replicate the actual fight itself. So you always train the way you're going to react. So the first defence against a jab and a cross combination would be evasion. The legs are held static and the body is leaned back. If Mike just demonstrates here, like so. This is known as the layback. Once more, like so. It also works against a cross, like so. I'm dropping my guard so you can see me. In reality, I would have my guard here and lay back, and again, lay back. I can also move back by slipping, shuffling. As Mike moves towards me, I shuffle and lay back, and then back into space. And again, and if he does a cross, again, like so. Very, very simple technique. Next on the agenda, in terms of defense against punches, okay, is the parry. It's simply a stopping technique with the glove. We'll demonstrate here. Mike throws his jab, boom. I simply stop it, again, like so. All I'm doing is redirecting the punch. If it's the rear hand, like so, boom, same thing. Again, boom. And always make sure that your partner can hit you. Can you hit me, Mike? Yeah, good. So working at the correct range. Again, boom, like so. Of course, we can move with this as well. I could move back as Mike moves towards me. So he moves towards me and I parry, and I parry, and I parry, and I parry, like so. Obviously, I could move forward as he throws his punch. Boom, I move forward to counter attack. But we'll look at counters later on. At this level, at this grading, all we need to do is parry and get used to moving forward as well as back. If nothing else, Muay Thai is known for its elbow techniques. Devastating, destructive, and cutting like a knife, and that's the way you should view elbows, as a cutting weapon. Score points, very, very powerful technique. Score lots of points in Muay Thai with elbows, providing they hit the correct targets. And the best target for the elbow strike is anywhere down the eye and the cheekbone here. That would be the primary target. It's true to say that if the elbow catches the jawline, you'll create a knockout, possibly. But don't bet on that. Always go for cuts. And the elbow we're going to demonstrate, I think, is the side elbow. And we hit with the bony part of the elbow here, not the forearm, but the bony point of the elbow. And it makes contact with the head, like so. And we'll see that in a little bit more detail. So just how do you do the elbow, the side elbow? From your guard stance, again we call it the default position, simply open the hand of the attacking arm, bring it to the centre line of the body, and then a short movement of the hip. You see, I do not turn the knee in, it's a short movement of the hip. I want this as a short, sharp action. And you'll see that when I'm using elbows, my guard is coming a lot higher. Protection on this side of the head, as well as this side of the jaw. Once more, from the side, this is a movement. In slow motion, there, and back to guard. In a moment, we're going to see this on the pads. What we're about to see now are side elbows used on the pads. Here again, we see Ash working with his student Mike. left elbow and a right side elbow. Nice short movements. Notice the hand position that Mike has. He's got a good high guard to protect that side of the head. Remember, when you're close enough to hit him with the elbow, he's close enough to hit you. And again, the distance in which the pads are placed is realistic. Excellent. Because of the close range in which the elbows are done, it's imperative that you understand how to defend against the elbow effectively. Two main defences against the elbow. Don't be there when it comes, in other words, evade, or cover and move in against it. So you've got two options: move in against it and cover with what we call the wedge block, like so, or move away from the technique. I want to demonstrate that now with Mike. Okay, we're going to look at evasion first against a right elbow, and then the wedge block. Okay, Mike. This is evasion, just don't be there. Wedge block, move in. Evasion, wedge block. You'll also notice that as a wedge block moves in, this can also be used as an offensive technique. And I'll be slamming this, obviously, into Mike's face, like so. A very powerful block. It also works off the rear hand, so if the left elbow was coming in, boom, I can cover and move in like so. Again, notice the guard position. It's high, it's protecting me. I need to be protected against that elbow at all times. Once more, moving in like so. Next in the first card syllabus, the next one we look at are the knees. Secondary weapon, but very, very powerful. Just to dispel a few myths, in Muay Thai we use the front surface of the knee to strike with, not the top, the front surface. And a front knee is driven into the main target, which is the bladder here, low on the belt of the shorts. Okay? We lift and push it in, and it's much easier to see that when it's demonstrated on a partner or on pads. And when you practice with a partner with either elbows or knees, always, have extreme caution. They do a lot of damage. Here we see Ash now with full Thai pads. He's got the long pads and he's got the belly shield. The belly shield is for front kicks and for knees, and the Thai pads, the long pads or paus, are used for roundhouse kicks, punches, elbows. Here we see Mike demonstrating the technique with Ash, his instructor. What we're seeing is a parry, a swan neck catch to the neck. He then pulls Ash towards him and drives a knee into the midsection. You'll see Mike immediately goes back to his original posture. And if we can see that at full speed now, Mike. Good, and once more. And if we just turn around, guys, we'll do that from the other angle. Parries, catches, knees. Beautiful. And again, catch, double knee, and relax. One of the most important techniques in Muay Thai, or seen as one of the most important techniques, is a Muay Thai roundhouse kick. This is what separates the men from the boys in terms of roundhouse kicks throughout the martial arts. And the Thais do it with great effect. And the reason they do it with great effect is because of the technique they use, driving the kick from the hip and striking, most importantly, with the shin. And it's always the bony part of the shin. The targets, fairly straightforward. The neck is a major target, the body is a major target, the thigh or the knee is a good target. So how do we use the roundhouse kick? Well, at this grade, the first grade, we're going to look at simply a kick to the thigh and the knee. And this can be done off the pads and then on the pads, as we'll demonstrate. The knee is brought up towards the thigh, no higher than that. And as it does so, the hip rotates in, striking the thigh. Again, like so. You'll also notice that I'm turning the whole upper body. This facilitates more power. I'm driving this shoulder, this hip, this hand across my body here. If we do it from another angle, you'll see the defense of this side of the body, here, and then back. Here, and then back. And that is essentially the basic way of doing the roundhouse kick. Demonstrating this technique now is Mike, again with his instructor Ash. And this is how the pads would be held for the roundhouse kick. As you can see, Mike's rotating the body, his right arm is coming forward, and this gives good defense. Each time the pad is struck, and not particularly with power. The bags are the tools we use for developing power. The pads are generally used for focus, for good technique, and for speed. And relax. One of the best defences against a Muay Thai low roundhouse kick, or Te Rian, is using the anterior tibialis. The anterior tibialis is this muscle group here, okay, on the side of the shin. And when the block's lifted and the foot is pulled up, like so, this muscle is pronounced and prevents damage to the shin. Many people seem to think that you should go off and toughen your shins by kicking trees and banging them with Coke bottles and sticks. That's an absolute nonsense. The modern ideas in Thailand now require that we use the muscle of above the shin, the anterior tibialis here, to protect the shin bone. And you can see it as I lift the foot up, how it tenses up. The defense against the low roundhouse kick is the shin block, as Mike is now going to demonstrate. You'll see that Mike brings the leg straight up, making contact with the outside of the shin against Ash's roundhouse kick. The weight of his body is dropped onto his rear leg as he brings the knee up. You notice the knee goes no higher than the waist, doesn't have to. And finally, the last striking technique of this particular grading, the first Khan, is the teep drum. Teep is a front kick. Okay, the knee is simply lifted to the position you lift for your shin block and then pushed out. The target primarily is the bladder, although it can hit other parts of the body. But the main scoring point would be the bladder here. And you would strike with the ball of the foot, keeping the toes pulled back like so. Some teachers also teach the hip with the heel, but this tends to make the body lean back. My preference is that the leg is lifted and placed into the bladder area like so. It's used a bit like the jab that we did earlier. It's an initial technique for range finding as well as doing damage. So if you think of the teep as the Thai boxer's jab, you can't go wrong. What we see now is Mike practicing the teep against Ash. Ash has got the belly shield on, which protects him against the kick. It also allows Mike to actually hit the correct target. Remember, the way you train is the way you react. So you must go for the target area whenever you're training. Obviously, wearing body armor like this protects the instructor. You can see that Ash is moving around and Mike is having to range find and then snap that front kick into the body. Again, his guard's staying up high and he's maintaining good posture. Best defence against the teep is not to be there, so evasion is always a good option. However, for this particular part of the grade, what we need to look at is the scoop block, also known as a swan neck block. We used the swan neck and saw it earlier on in this particular part of the grading, when we caught the neck and we caught the arm, like so. So this swan neck block, swan neck catch, is used in a multitude of different ways, as we'll see as we go through the grading. Today, for this particular grade, we're looking at scoop blocks to protect the body against mid-sectional kicks, the teep. My preference is that the lead hand is always used to scoop or catch. And this makes it easier, it's faster, it's quicker. But obviously, if a kick is coming off the rear leg, we can catch with the rear hand and throw it away, thus opening up the opponent. And we're going to see that now as Ash demonstrates with Mike. Now what we're going to do is demonstrate the importance of which hand to block against the left teep. My priority is always to use the left hand here and catch the leg here on the Achilles tendon, lifting Mike's leg up and pushing him off balance, and then following through my counter. So it's good to get used to catching with the left, lift and throw away. You notice I move forward. I can also throw the leg the other way, like so, but this doesn't allow for much of a lift, and it also doesn't allow for many targets for me to counter-attack to, other than the spine. I can also, and this should be done, practice with the right hand. As the left teep comes up, I catch it like so, lifting it, although with difficulty, this way. This of course leaves me exposed to this type of punch, so you must be aware of that. And the other option, my last option, is to catch this way and throw that way. Again, it doesn't leave me many options in terms of target areas other than the spine. This is something you have to decide for yourself. My preference, and most of the fighters I've seen their preference, seems to be to use the left hand to catch here and then move in very rapidly. We'll be looking at combinations and techniques in further gradings. And now we'll see a demonstration of Mike training with his instructor Ash, defending against teeps. This is in a loose freestyle manner, which a student should get used to immediately. This will allow Mike to get used to not just contact, but the possibility of what is the best hand for him to use. Each fighter will have his own way of doing it, as long as the fundamental technique remains the same. And here you can see Mike catching the leg and lifting it. Seems to be his preference. And relax. A warm-up is vitally important in Muay Thai. And we start with mobility. This loosens off the joints, getting the synovial fluid moving around inside the joints and tendons, warming them up. We can see Ash here doing a head mobility exercise, left and right, backwards and forwards. And he'll work his way slowly down the body, moving into the shoulders and then the torso and then finally the legs. You can see here his movements of the shoulder, the deltoid, bringing blood and elevating oxygen into that area. Obviously these exercises are done over a longer period of time. We're just hastening the process up for your viewing pleasure. He could have been a lap dancer. And always train with a sense of humour. There's not enough smiling people in martial arts for mine liking. He'll be firmly working his way down to his ankles, making sure you do both left and right sides of the body. And after the mobility, I just moved straight into it, I'll cut this bit out. And after
the physical, oh no, we don't do the physical skip, yeah.
Yeah, and after mobility, we then move into physical, which is a very light stretch. I mean, we'll see light stretches done using your body. You don't force any of these stretches, you do them to your maximum without too much pain. And you hold each position for a minimum of 10 seconds. This obviously prevents you pulling muscles whilst training. Thai boxing being a very energetic and very much a contact sport, it requires you to do a good warm-up. In Thailand, the temperatures are much higher than here in Europe. The Thais do very little stretching, but it's very important that us Europeans make sure we warm the body thoroughly. Ash is going through a variety of stretches. These stretches can be found not just on this DVD, but on any good fitness training DVD. One of the core ways of getting cardio fitness in Muay Thai is to skip. Skipping is done every day in Thailand for at least 5 minute rounds, and that's after a 7-kilometre run. Here you see Ash on the left and Mike on the right demonstrating skipping technique. You can make it as interesting or as dull as possible, standing on one leg then another, double skipping, or even doing crossovers with the ropes, as Ash has just demonstrated there. As I say, 5 minute rounds would be the norm in Thailand, but before a session it's always good to come in early and skip for at least 10 minutes. Thanks guys. Now what we're going to see is dynamic stretching to finish this particular part of the warm-up. You can see Ash here, pretty flexible sort of guy, lifting his foot up onto Mike's shoulder. He's now turning sideways to create mobility in the hip in that direction. This obviously replicates the roundhouse kick. He's now taking a position to show you, to demonstrate you some floor exercises. These are for the lower back and of course for the adductor muscles on the inside of the groin. But all stretching should be done slowly in a controlled environment, and there shouldn't be any form of competition involved. You stretch within your capabilities. If you create injury through stretching, that just prevents you from training. It's not sensible at all. In this exercise, Ash is using the wall as support for the back and the upper body while he stretches in a front leg position. And now you can see some what we would call ballistic stretches, but the leg is taken up carefully. The leg is not just swung into position or forced in any way. At the moment they're doing it to the front. It can also be done at the side and to the rear. As you can see here, Ash and Mike are now demonstrating to the side. Again, both sides of the body would be done in a class. Finally, to the rear, keeping the leg as straight as possible, lifting the leg to the rear. Finally, in closing, I'd just like to say thanks very much for watching the DVD and hope that you've learned something useful for this, your first Khan grading. There are more titles to follow, 2nd, 3rd, all the way up to 10th Khan, including instructors training. Having said that, a DVD cannot replace a good instructor, and there's a whole host of Phraya Pichai Muay Thai Camps International instructors up and down the UK as well as abroad. We have clubs as far as Australia. Take advantage of this. There's a list of them at the end of the DVD with their email addresses and telephone numbers. Once again, thanks for watching.